Hi, this video is just a little introduction to the subject of NESARA and the Great Wealth Transfer. Is this a real thing? I don't know, but I'm hearing a lot about it. And of course, the New Age is talking about it in one way, and the Reawaken America New Apostolic Reformation are talking about it. So I'm still learning about it, but I found this very interesting. Maybe it will help explain some things and some connections. I watched a documentary the other day. This is it right here, and it's 3 hours long. I clipped it down to about a half an hour. I just wanted you to see how they are explaining this whole thing. They go back to the beginning of time practically, and it just shows you how the New Age Q, the Ascended Masters, the Freemasons, the Mystery Schools, the bankers, and the NAR, and Reawaken America all kind of plays into this. This documentary itself is really a big propaganda piece, but it is what they believe, or at least the people who made this documentary. And I do see that this is kind of the basis for a lot of QAnon stuff that relates to even aliens, you know, the Ascended Masters and the Palladians. And at the end, there is a portion from a recent Reawaken America event. Also, check out this Probably Alexandra video for more details from a Christian perspective. Thanks for watching.
Members of these societies understood if an individual could be a powerful force of change, so could they, in larger numbers, slay the dragons of the world. It was here as a member of the Rosicrucian secret society that Francis Bacon became inspired to write his famous Great Instauration, which would restore paradise on earth through knowledge and virtue. In addition to the Rosicrucian and the Knights of the Helmet secret societies, was the Freemason secret society, whose members passed down the secrets of building the massive cathedrals and castles of Europe. After the death of Queen Elizabeth in 1603, King James succeeded to the throne. During his reign, Francis was promoted to Viscount St. Albans and Lord Chancellor, which was the highest positions of power one could obtain in that era other than the king himself. He was given the task to reform Freemasonry, which, in late Elizabethan England, was more of a social clique for the elite. He sought to change operative Freemasonry of the medieval stone guilds into speculative Freemasonry, that is, a fraternal order of philosophers that would recreate the world as God made it and not as men or the church made it. A place where religious and political strife could be placed aside under its three great Masonic principles of brotherly love, relief for the poor, and seekers of truth. He then redrafted the 9 degrees of the Knights of Templar into 33 degrees, which became the basis of modern-day Freemasonry. Many of these initiations were based on Christian ethics with a focus on the realization of one's own inner Christ consciousness.
Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness.
Francis chose 33 initiations of Freemasonry from a simple Elizabethan cipher, which equaled to the numerical value of his signature. By assigning a number for each letter of the alphabet, the name Bacon equals to 33. Francis once said, "The great end of life is not knowledge but action." True to his word, in 1626, he faked his own philosopher's death and attended his funeral in disguise with another body in the coffin. He then traveled to the Rákóczi mansion in the Carpathian mountain region of Transylvania, which is now located in modern-day Romania. Here, during the reign of Hranic Rákóczi I, he continued his studies of alchemy, preparing him for his physical ascension under the watchful eye of Master R, who worked with the great divine director. After making 2 million right decisions, spanning hundreds of thousands of years of incarnations, he was granted ascension. The highest form of alchemy is not the transmutation of the base elements into gold, but instead, the transmutation of the soul into oneness with the Creator.
the transmutation of the soul into oneness with the Creator.
On May 1st, 1684, he finally mastered these secrets and ascended into the 14th dimension, transmuted his mortal body into an immortal angel, conquering death itself. After the ascension process occurs, normally a soul would choose to move on to serve in higher dimensions. However, Francis chose to join the Great White Brotherhood of Light,
The Great White Brotherhood of Light,
were souls that have vowed to stick with the earth until the day all humanity could ascend. These so-called ascended masters rarely interact with humans.
I'm reading an article called Proof the Ascended Masters Are Demons in Disguise by Stephen Bankars. Who are ascended masters? If you are familiar with the New Age movement, you may have heard this term used before to describe beings like Buddha, Jesus, and Saint Germain. The claim in this article is not that Buddha and Jesus are demons, but that the ascended masters who have disguised themselves as Jesus and Buddha in esoteric material, where this idea first originated, have fully disclosed themselves as being fallen angels. Ascended masters, or Great White Brotherhood, or secret chiefs, are believed to be spiritually enlightened beings who in past incarnations were ordinary humans but have went through spiritual transformation to the point of reaching ascension. There are 7 rays of ascension, and all of the supposed ascended masters are categorized under these rays according to their spiritual qualities, characteristics, and type of message they taught. They all have surpassed the birth cycle, have more good karma than bad karma, and no longer need to be reborn since they have surpassed 6th level initiation. Initiations are levels of consciousness and stages of soul development, and the more universal your consciousness becomes, the higher you move up the ranks of initiation until you hit the 4th level of initiation, where it is no longer necessary for you to reincarnate. At the 6th level of initiation, you have achieved unity with the I Am, and thus fall into the category of being an ascended master. The Great White Brotherhood gave Aleister Crowley his Satanism. Crowley was a famous occultist and Satanist from the 1900s who referred to himself as the Beast 666 and once said, "I was not content to just believe in Satan, I wanted to be his chief of staff." He used to torture and kill animals, used menstrual blood for spell casting, and has openly admitted to making blood sacrifices to demons and performed sex magic on his mistresses, 5 of which ended up committing suicide. He was also a 33-degree Freemason, a heroin addict, and believed that for the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. For nearly all purposes relating to magic, human sacrifice is the best. Chapter 12 of the Bloody Sacrifice. After reading about the Great White Brotherhood in a book called The Cloud Upon the Sanctuary, Crowley wanted to ascend to the top of the ladder. He started an order called AA, consisting of a series of levels that students would graduate through, performing tasks consisting of black magic and occult practices, involving astral projection, contact with spirits, and witchcraft. At the top of this order, as the highest ranking beings, sat the secret chiefs of the planetary order, or the Ascended Masters. One of these secret chiefs he believed in was named Aiwass. This is the being who gave him his entire satanic philosophy and telepathically communicated to him his satanic book titled The Book of the Law, which stated that to do as thou wilt is the highest law. This book is a staple in any Satanist and Black Magician's library. If members of the Great White Brotherhood are contacting black magic Satanists who practiced blood sacrifices to demons and are giving them satanic philosophy, are we really sure these Ascended Masters are of God? The Ascended Masters were first popularized in a book published under Lucifer Publishing Company, founded by a Satanist, Alice Bailey. The head of the Ascended Masters was first really introduced in the occult in the late 1700s, but was fully developed and popularized as a mature concept around 1920 by C.W. Ledbetter and Alice Bailey. And here's a book by Alice Bailey, Lucifer Publishing. Alice Bailey is a famous occultist, a pioneer in metaphysics, and prominent member of the Theosophical Society, which is a metaphysical school that basically founded the New Age movement. She published her first work, The Concept of Rays, Initiations, in the Great White Brotherhood, the Ascended Masters, in her book Initiation, Solar and Human, which brought the ideas of Ascended Masters and soul initiation into the mainstream of the occult community and the New Age community. This book was published under the publishing company called Lucifer Publishing Company, which was named off of the original magazine of the Theosophical Society titled Lucifer. Alice Bailey was a member of the Theosophical Society, and this society is typically regarded as being what started the New Age, the entire New Age movement. The Theosophical Society was a mystery school that taught esoteric knowledge and ancient mysteries. The story of the Ascended Masters perfectly mirrors the story of the fallen angels in the Bible, and they worship Satan. On page 32 and 33 of Initiation, Solar and Human, which was channeled to Alice Bailey by Ascended Master Joel Kuhl, she talks about where these masters are located and how they came here in the first place. After the great descent of the spiritual existences, the masters, to the earth, the work they planned to do was systematized. Offices were apportioned, and the process of evolution in all the departments of nature were brought under the conscious, wise guidance of this initial brotherhood. This hierarchy of brothers of light still exists, and the work goes steadily on. They are all in physical existence, either in dense physical bodies, such as many of the masters employ, or in etheric bodies, such as the more exalted helpers and the Lord of the world occupy. Several of the masters in physical bodies dwell in the Himalayan mountains in a secluded spot called Shagasti, far from the ways of men, but the greater number are scattered all over the world, dwelling in different places in the various nations, unrecognized and unknown, yet forming each in his own place a focal point for the energy of the Lord of the world. The Lord of the world in the Ascended Master's teachings is Sanat Kumara, the founder of the Great White Brotherhood and the ruler over the whole etheric plane. The only spiritual entity to be referred to in such a way in the Bible is Satan himself, who Paul calls the God of this world, 2 Corinthians 4:4. And Jesus refers to Satan as being the ruler of this world 3 separate times. Even the Satanic Bible refers to Satan as the Lord of the earth. The Bible also talks about Satan and his demons ruling from the air, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world, and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. See, what these people believe, it's like kind of biblical in the opposite way. They have the same concepts, but in the Satan that we know of from the Bible is their Lord of the world, and the powers and principalities are their hierarchy of light. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Ephesians 6:12. The Bible refers to anything that is above the earth as being the heavens. So what Paul is talking about is a kingdom of the air above the physical earth plane that is occupied by Satan and his fallen angels, aka the etheric plane. So these so-called masters who gave Crowley his satanic philosophy exist within the etheric planes and serve the Lord of the world. And the Bible tells us that demons exist within the heavenly places and serve the God of this world. Let's take a look at the first sentence of the paragraph again. After the great descent of the spiritual existences, the masters, to the earth, implies that the ascended masters descended together and fell to earth at the same time. In her book, The Externalization of the Hierarchy, on page 118, she says this, quote, "When the sons of God who responded to the divine urge to experience, to serve, and to sacrifice separated themselves from the sons of God who responded to no such inspiration," unquote. So this is literally a direct reference to fallen angels. Yes. Yes. Please remember this when you hear people talking about Christ consciousness and ascended masters, and it's not cute at all. It's very dark. The Bible calls fallen angels the sons of God in Revelation chapter 12. Jesus is speaking to John and says the following in verse 7 through 9. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found in heaven any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, who deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. His angels. And you've got all these NAR people calling angels, having visions of angels, talking to angels, seeing angels, all this angel stuff. You gotta really wonder about that. The book of Enoch spells out the fallen angels in the exact same way as well. Quote, the watchers look down from heaven and desire the daughters of men. They swear an oath to fulfill their desires, and then descend, marry women, and defile themselves with women. Unquote. Or in the book of Jude in the Bible, where it says in verse 6, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but which left their own habitation. Is it just a coincidence that the Bible account of the fallen angels coincides perfectly with the history of the ascended masters? If it still seems like a coincidence, it won't after we understand that Theosophy believed Sanat Kumara is literally Satan. Here's a quote from famous Theosophist Dane Rudyard on Sanat Kumara. Satan is an anagram for Sanat Kumara, who in the esoteric philosophy of India is the Promethean being who gave mankind the fire of self-consciousness and independent individual selfhood. Unquote. The Magic of Tone and the Art of Music, page 69. What more do we need? According to the New Encyclopedia of the Occult on page 418, Satan has a possible echo in Theosophical lore, where the Lord of the world, the ruler of the earth, and the head of the Great White Lodge, is Sanat Kumara. The Great White Lodge, where the Lord of the world, the head of the Great White Brotherhood. So, when you hear white hats and white brothers or anything, it's not about anything good. And here's a quote by Nilakanta Sriram in the Theosophical magazine Lucifer from page 2 of an issue published on April of 1961. The adversary, or Satan, is no other than Lucifer, the light bearer, the bright morning star. He is the initiator, awakening the divine faculties of intellect on man. He is the king of the fallen angels, spirits from higher spheres, who descended among primitive mankind of the third race. The founder of the entire Theosophical Society, Helena Blavatsky, openly admits this on page 236 of The Secret Doctrine. The allegorical and symbolical meaning of the serpent of Genesis is found explained by the sons of wisdom, or angels from higher spheres, though all and each pertain to the kingdom of Satan, or matter, revealing to men the mysteries of heaven. So according to the Bible, Lucifer and his angels were cast out of heaven to earth and now exist within the air and the heavenly places. And according to Ascended Master teachings, the Ascended Masters separated from other sons of God and fell to earth in a great descent, and now exist in the etheric realms with Satan. And these teachings were brought to us by a mystery school founded by a Satanist and were published under Lucifer Publishing Company. This is just spiritual Satanism and the glorification of fallen angels. If the ascended masters really are fallen angels, we should expect them to reject Jesus, and that's exactly what we see. The teachings of fallen angels, I'm briefly going to just go over this. They include things like eugenics, racism. Hitler loved Blavatsky's book. The new race is forming in every land, but primarily in those lands where the fifth or Caucasian races are to be found. They're anti-Semitic, and they're Freemasons. The Masonic movement, when it can be divorced from all political and social ends and from its present paralyzing condition of inertia, will meet the need of those who can and should wield power. Under the all-seeing eye, the work can go forward. They're pro-war. This is a good article. I will link it below. Tying it all together. These ascended masters have a history that mirrors the fallen angels exactly. They serve Lucifer, Satan, which is Theosophists themselves tell us, and were first popularized by the Theosophical Society founded by Satanist Freemason under Lucifer Publishing Company. They gave Crowley his Satanism. They make a mockery of Jesus and give us false promises of ascension while promoting war, eugenics, and racism. If you feel a conviction in your spirit or a red light going off in your inner radar, it would be extremely wise to throw away your Ascended Master Oracle card, stop praying to these evil beings disguised as solar angels, and disregard any teachings containing references to the Ascended Masters as being authorities of light.
These so-called Ascended Masters rarely interact with humanity, but Francis chose a different path. He wanted to return back in a human body to teach others how to overcome the laws of the physical universe and to help usher in the coming golden age of humanity.
And to help usher in the coming golden age of humanity. And to help usher in the coming golden age of humanity.
His karmic board granted his request, and he materialized a new body as the Count de Saint Germain, or the Count of Saint Germain. He chose his name from the Latin word Sanctus Germanus, meaning Holy Brother. Saint Germain truly had an elixir of life. It would mean he had ultimately mastered the secrets of the Philosopher's Stone, which medieval alchemists believed could transmute the base metals such as lead into gold. It seemed likely if anyone could have figured this out, it would have been Saint Germain, as he closely worked with the Fratres Lucis, and with the Knights of the Brothers of Asia, who studied the Rosicrucian and Hermetic sciences of alchemy, of which the three parts of the Azoth constituted the Philosopher's Stone. No one really knows if Saint Germain was truly able to turn lead into gold, but in 1727, it appears he had done just that. These secret money-making techniques were shared with certain German bankers and monarchies in the hopes that the wealth generated would benefit all humanity, but instead, they squandered it for themselves. So, in 1729, he abandoned support of these power brokers and created the World Trust. From its inception, he stipulated that the World Trust would be released by the year 2000. But this is not an easy task to do, as you will soon see. Saint Germain realized humanity would never be ready for the knowledge and technology of the Aquarian Age, until mankind could put aside their destructive sciences and religions,
and accept the heart of which lies at both. That is, to enter one's own heart and harness their own unlimited potential.
100 years after his ascension, Saint Germain had brought much enlightenment to the royal courts of Europe, and thanks to his efforts, the creation of the United States of America. Because of this service to humanity, the Great White Brotherhood of Light granted him the office of the Shohan of the Seventh Ray.
We are your instrument of those sevenfold rays and all your archangels. All of them.
And I am the instrument of those sevenfold rays and archangels, and I will not retreat. I will take my stand.
We will not retreat. We will stand our ground.
According to occult philosophy, the seven rays are seven metaphysical principles that govern both individuals and 2,158-year astrological cycles. Our current astrological age of Pisces is dominated by religion and superstitions. Soon, this will be replaced with the age of Aquarius, which will bring about knowledge and wisdom. As director of the Shohan of the Seventh Ray, Saint Germain is responsible for transmuting the old energies of the past in order to bring about the Christ consciousness of the coming golden age of Aquarius. This is why Saint Germain is sometimes referred to as the cosmic master of the age of Aquarius.
Okay, we're going to read a little bit about Saint Germain in Wikipedia. Count Saint Germain, also sometimes referred to as Master Rakosi or Master R, is a legendary spiritual master of the ancient wisdom and various theosophical and post-theosophical teachings, said to be responsible for the New Age culture of the age of Aquarius, and identified with the Count Saint Germain 1710 to 1784, who has been variously described as a courtier, adventurer, inventor, alchemist, pianist, violinist, and amateur composer. In the works authored by Alice A. Bailey, Saint Germain is called Master Rakosi or the Master R. In the Ascended Master's teachings, the Master Rakosi, otherwise known as the Great Divine Director, is regarded as Saint Germain's teacher in the Great White Brotherhood of Ascended Masters. Alice Bailey's book, The Externalization of the Hierarchy, a compilation of earlier revelations published posthumously in 1957, gives the most information about this reputed role as a spiritual master. Saint Germain's spiritual title is said to be Lord of Civilization, and his task is the establishment of the new civilization of the age of Aquarius. He is said to telepathically influence people who are seen by him as being instrumental in bringing about the new civilization of the age of Aquarius. Alice A. Bailey stated that sometime after 2025, the Jesus, the Master Rakosi, Saint Germain, Kutumi, and other of the spiritual hierarchy would externalize, i.e. descend from the spiritual worlds and interact in visible, tangible bodies on the earth in ashrams surrounded by their disciples. It's so weird. It kind of sounds like disclosure, too. Alice A. Bailey said that Saint Germain is the manager of the Executive Council of the Christ. Theosophists regard Master Jesus and Christ as two separate and distinct beings. They believe in the Gnostic Christology espoused by Cerinthus, 100 AD, according to which Christ is a being who was incarnated in Jesus only during the 3 years of the ministry of Jesus. According to certain Theosophists, Christ is identified as being a highly developed spiritual entity whose actual name is Maitreya. This Maitreya is the same being known in Buddhism as the Bodhisattva Maitreya, who is in training to become the next Buddha on earth. According to Alice A. Bailey, the Executive Council of the Christ is a specific subgroup of the masters of the ancient wisdom charged with preparing the way for the second coming of Christ and the consequent inauguration of the age of Aquarius.
I'm traveling throughout Germany and Austria, petitioning the monarchies to work together to avert the French Revolution and to create a United States of Europe. Though the monarchies enjoyed being entertained by Saint Germain's marvelous alchemical experiments, neither they nor their jealous ministers wished to relinquish their power to a unified Europe. With his plans in Europe crumbling apart, he then turned his eyes to the now prosperous New World, because he knew America would play a key role in raising people's consciousness into the Golden Age. NESARA is the most groundbreaking reformation to sweep not only this country, but our planet in its entire history. The act does away with the Federal Reserve Bank, the IRS, the shadow government, and much, much more. NESARA implements the following changes. Zeroes out all credit card, mortgage, and other bank debt due to illegal banking and government activities. This is the Federal Reserve's worst nightmare, a jubilee or a forgiveness of debt. Abolishes the income tax, abolishes the IRS. Employees of the IRS will be transferred into the U.S. Treasury National Sales Tax Area. creates a 14% flat rate non-essential new items only sales tax revenue for the government. In other words, food and medicine will not be taxed, nor will used items such as old homes. Increases benefits to senior citizens. Returns constitutional law to all courts and legal matters. Reinstates the original title of nobility amendment. Hundreds of thousands of Americans under the control of foreign powers will lose their citizenship, be deported to other countries, and barred from re-entry for the remainder of their life. And millions of people will soon discover their college degrees are now worthless paper. Establishes new presidential and congressional elections within 120 days after NESARA's announcement. The interim government will cancel all national emergencies and return us back to constitutional law. Monitors elections and prevents illegal election activities of special interest groups. Creates a new U.S. Treasury rainbow currency backed by gold, silver, and platinum precious metals, ending the bankruptcy of the United States, initiated by Franklin Roosevelt in 1933. Forbids the sale of American birth certificate records as chattel property bonds by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Initiates new U.S. Treasury bank system in alignment with constitutional law. Eliminates the Federal Reserve System. During the transition period, the Federal Reserve will be allowed to operate side by side of the U.S. Treasury for 1 year in order to remove all Federal Reserve notes from the money supply. Restores financial privacy. Retrains all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. Ceases all aggressive U.S. government military actions worldwide. Establishes peace throughout the world. Releases enormous sums of money for humanitarian purposes. Enables the release of over 6,000 patents of suppressed technologies that are being withheld from the public under the guise of national security, including free energy devices, anti-gravity, and sonic healing machines.
I want the American people to know today that I am still committed to working with people of good faith and goodwill of both parties to do what's best for our country.
Because President Clinton's clone had no interest in signing NESARA into law, on October 10, 2000, under orders from U.S. military generals, the elite Naval SEALs and Delta Force stormed the White House and under gunpoint forced Bill Clinton to sign NESARA into law. During this time, Secret Service and White House security personnel were ordered to stand down, disarmed, and allowed to witness this event under a gag order. From its very inception, Bush Sr., the corporate government, major bank houses in the Carlyle Group have opposed NESARA. To maintain secrecy, the case details and the docket number were sealed and revised within the official congressional registry to reflect a commemorative coin, and then again, it was revised even more recently. This is why there are no public congressional records and why a search for this law will not yield the correct details until after the reformations are made public. You probably never heard of this law due to an extremely strict gag order placed upon politicians, media personnel, and bank officers. Even though Alex Jones or Ron Paul will not tell you about it, the law is still valid. And members of Congress will not tell us any of this because they have been ordered by the U.S. Supreme Court justices to deny the existence of NESARA or face charges of treason punishable by death. Some members of Congress have actually been charged with obstruction.
We're here to the nation's capital to tell the story that we've got an economic convulsion in agriculture. We got a lot of broken dreams, a lot of broken lives, a lot of broken families, and we're not going to take it any longer.
Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone was about to break the gag order, but before he could, his small passenger plane crashed, killing his wife, daughter, and himself. If fear isn't enough to keep Congress in line, money is. The CIA routinely bribes senators with stolen loot from the bankroll programs. Every senator has been bribed with a minimum of $200 million deposited into a Bank of America account in Canada. You would never hear the media networks report about NESARA. To maintain silence, major news networks such as CNN are paid in the tune of $2 billion annually. Some of this loot is funneled by the Mormon Church in Utah through Senator Orrin Hatch's office in Bank of America. Not only is Congress bribed, but the entire Joint Chiefs of Staff and the upper tier of the government, including the President himself, receives these payments as well. Only the Provost Marshal has the lawful authority to arrest these individuals, but sadly, he won't do his job either. It seems the United States military is full of pencil-pushing politicians who care more about advancement than doing their job. And not surprisingly, Much disinformation about NESARA can be found on the internet. Prominent naysayers include Quatlus.com, which is rumored to be a CIA front, NESARA.org, which is maintained by the Bush family, Sherry Shriner, and various internet channelers receiving their messages from telepathic spooks have all contributed to the confusion.
So here's one person's opinion. NESARA equals Antichrist. NESARA is the economic and political program of the collective Antichrist and their New World Order. The global economic collapse was methodically orchestrated by the Illuminati to make way for NESARA, which will be implemented and run by the beast. It's coming right under our noses, and the world will accept it with open arms. Understandably.
Even the information on Wikipedia is in error. Wikipedia gives you the history of CIA agent Harvey Bernard's NESARA law. If you look closely, this law stands for the National Economic Stabilization and Recovery Act, which would have made reforms to the economy and replaced the income tax with a national sales tax. This law was rejected by Congress in the 1990s. But there's little mention of the National Economic Security and Reformation Act on Wikipedia or its ramifications. The next step is to announce NESARA to the world, but it's not an easy task to do. Many powerful groups have tried to prevent the implementation of NESARA. The NESARA law requires that at least once a year, an effort be made to announce the law to the public. 3 current U.S. Supreme Court judges control the committee in charge of NESARA's announcement. These judges have used their overall authority to secretly sabotage NESARA's announcement. In 2001, after much negotiation, the Supreme Court justices ordered the current Congress to pass resolutions approving NESARA. This took place on September 9, 2001, 18 months after NESARA became law. On September 10, 2001, George Bush Sr. moved into the White House to steer his son on how to block the announcement. The next day, on September 11, 2001, at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Alan Greenspan was scheduled to announce the new U.S. Treasury bank system, debt forgiveness for all U.S. citizens, and abolishment of the IRS, as the first part of the public announcements of NESARA. Just before the announcement at 9 a.m., Bush Sr. ordered the demolition of the World Trade Center to stop the international banking computers on floors 1 and 2 in the North Tower from initiating the new U.S. Treasury bank system. Explosives in the World Trade Center were planted by both CIA and Mossad operatives and detonated remotely in Building 7, which was demolished later that day in order to cover up their crime. Remote pilot technology was used in a flyover event to deliver a payload of explosives into the Pentagon at the exact location of the White Knights in their new Naval Command Center, who were coordinating activities supporting NESARA's implementation nationwide. With the announcement, NESARA stopped dead in its tracks. George Bush Sr. decapitated any hopes of returning the government back to the people. Remember, this money will come from the bankroll and prosperity programs. The only catch is, to distribute these funds, they must first be released by the trustees, whose members come from the Clinton, Bush, and Rockefeller families. They are doing everything they possibly can to stop these payouts. This cycle has been ongoing for years. The only alternative left is to kill the Federal Reserve System by force. On December 15, 2006, a meeting was arranged to discuss ways to curtail these criminal activities. Their ranks included representatives from the global family who were enlightened individuals working directly under Saint Germain. They include members from the IMF, World Bank, Rothschild family, and key persons from over 48 nations. They agreed to implement 3 goals by June 15, 2007. That is, to end all war, to actively improve the environment, to actively provide abundance for their people. Those nations which do not keep this agreement will eventually be cut off from the international banking community in order to force them into compliance. Some banks are now working to bring about the NESARA mission in the hopes that some of the prosperity funds would trickle into their banks, saving them from closing their doors. But most of the larger banks that are fighting the coming changes will soon be out of business. Slowly, the illegal practices of the international financiers are coming to an end. The banks and government are now in a panic to find other people's money to plug up the holes in their cracking dam. Though some funds have been raised by either selling military secrets to China or through CIA drug-running operations, this is nowhere near enough money to prop up a collapsing derivative market. Soon, this money will run out, leaving the option of either crashing the financial markets once again destroying what little is left of the American economy, or by printing more money, leading to hyperinflation. Before he was even sworn in office, in December 2008, Obama tried unsuccessfully to steal $400 billion from the prosperity funds and demanded another $1 trillion ransom for his deed. A week before his inauguration, Saint Germain and the global family had confronted Obama about his actions. At that time, Obama agreed to go along with the NESARA mission, but soon after reversed his promise and has now solidified his alliance with the Bush-Clinton cabal.
Our economy is badly weakened, a consequence of greed and irresponsibility on the part of some, but also our collective failure to make hard choices and prepare the nation for a new age.
The Queen of England has also participated in this sabotage. She has placed secret override codes into these banking computers, which allow her ladyship and Obama to move this money around and around until hell freezes over, awaiting the time until they can figure out how to access these funds. In preparation for economic collapse, a false flag leading to nuclear war of Iran, and the New World Order, Obama increased preparedness for Rex 84 martial law, which, under a Hillary Clinton presidency, would send millions of patriotic Americans to concentration camps. To stop this scenario, the White Knights, under guidance of QAnon, have taken strong actions to protect the American people. The QAnon network represents a group of 1,500 military personnel from various DoD and Secret Space Program Council members. Its director is an admiral from Naval Intelligence and is receiving their mandate from a quantum computer in the future, which is seeking to make the most positive timeline that benefits both humanity and the singularity. Q has selected a Donald Trump presidency to help usher in a new US Treasury dollar, a debt jubilee, and technology of the secret space program in preparation of extraterrestrial contact with Earth population, which is scheduled to happen during the second half of Trump's second term as president. Whether the NESARA transition is peaceful or not, God has mandated the common man will not suffer. God has mandated the common man will not suffer. The dark side's plans for mass vaccinations, martial law, or nuclear war will end in utter failure, and those who cooperated with such schemes would descend into the ash heap of history. The peoples of the world are now becoming aware of these grievances. Queen Elizabeth and the Crown of England have both gone too far with their crown power. Third world nations such as Malaysia would no longer allow the International Monetary Fund to rape their assets. African and South American nations, once devastated by the IMF, are now teaming up to create their own coalitions. Attempts by the international banking community to crush the Islamic nations have yielded little results, as they continue to abide to the gold standard as dictated in the Quran. China is proposing the creation of a new international reserve currency backed by precious metals, which would operate outside the manipulations of the Bank of International Settlements and the Committee of 300. In addition to the financial reforms, the Vatican has agreed to cooperate with a plan to end poverty and turn the deserts green by allowing the development of forbidden technologies such as free energy. The White Hats in the U.S. Space Command, which operate bases like Area 51, are now ready to release anti-gravity and teleportation technologies, which would make all automobiles and airplanes obsolete. Industries which are expected to vanish completely include petroleum, war, nuclear power, pharmaceuticals, and automobiles. Companies in these industries will receive substantial financial help after NESARA in order to transform themselves for the coming changes. For example, the petroleum industry could be turned into a geoengineering industry, the armaments industry could move into space exploration, and car manufacturers could be retooled to produce anti-gravity scooters. The longer these bankers and the corporate federal government refuse to go along with NESARA, the more banking implosions we will see. The world has announced, enough is enough. If you do not behave yourselves, you will be shut off from the international community. Nearly 300 years have passed since the creation of Saint Germain's World Trust. The time has now come to herald in a new age of peace and prosperity. We do not want an economic collapse, martial law, or new world order. We want NESARA now.
We came out from the deep, learn to love, learn how to live. We came out from the deep to avoid the mistakes we made. That's why we are here. That's why we are here. That's why we are here.
This is Bo Baloney. He's a gold and silver, precious metals, and there's anything wrong with that per se, at all. But this guy gives away the plan. What he lays out is in line with the research, what they're calling for, what the New Agers have read about as far as the plan. I did a previous stream on the plan. Lore from Magical Mystery Church has done episodes on the plan. And so this is the plan. This is what, I believe these parts of this are going to come to fruition. And that's if we are living in the biblical end times. Time will tell. But if that is the case, then these things will happen. Or at least some of them will. And it'll be made to look good because it's a part of the beast system. So let's watch this.
People feel the Holy Spirit. Yes, there's something special about Pennsylvania. God is going to do a work here. We're going to take it up a notch by blowing the shofar. God has it, and we're ready for this Red Sea moment. It's imminent. You can feel it. Tensions are high.
And a pad and prepare to enter into the dojo of Mojo Faux Show. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand to your feet and greet Bo Baloney.
Wow, thank you. God bless everybody. Thank you for being here. Clay, thank you for putting this thing on. Wow, this is an incredible event. People, God giveth and God taketh away. God is a God of love, but he's also judge. And trust me, he's been watching what's been going on. We all have. To start off, we are at historic moment in time. Those who follow my work will know that this coming Monday is an incredible time point. Doesn't matter if anything happens or not. Monday starts. This week is expected to start this coming week. As October is ending, we are expected to see one of the greatest market collapses in human history. The stock markets right now are following the pattern that occurred in the year 1929, which led to the Great Depression. Historic days are here because God, the Father, will not be mocked by these evil people. A very good friend of mine, Lois Vogel Sharp, this is a prophetic word. Write this down. The collapse, which is about to happen, I will repeat, the market collapse that was about to happen will be the victory needed to stop the furthering of this evil regime. The money system of this world is nothing but idol worship.
Quantum financial reset, which leads to the quantum financial system of the Great Awakening, which leads to NESARA, which leads to the Mark of the Beast. That would be just as evil, Bo, right? If not even more evil. Right?
The moment God intervenes, these people are going to come down faster than a brick house. Those who have listened and prepared, so much is coming your way that there will be overflow, because that's who God is. Overflow onto all those around you who chose not to listen. We are heading into the third seal. We're about to witness the third seal of Revelation, the financial rebalancing. The angel of death is coming to visit these people.
The angel of death is coming to visit these people. The angel of death is coming to visit these people.
Whoa. We're on the third seal now? Well, I miss everything else? Oh, chat, I missed everything else. Where have I been? Oh, no, I haven't been a watchman on the wall, chat. You guys haven't been watchmen and watchwomen on the wall either. We missed it. We're on the third seal already? Oh, no, what happened to seal 1 and 2? Oh, no. Chat, help. Oh, no, we missed some seals. We're in the end Revelation right now.
Coming to visit these people. These people are going down. These people who control the world think that they are pharaohs. The present day pharaohs, soon you shall never see again. This is coming with the greatest wealth transfer in human history.
Gotta get paid. Gotta get paid, chat. Gotta get paid. Where's my money? Getting the greatest wealth transfer. That is right. From all of them cabal members out there, I'm getting millions and billions put in my bank account. That is right. The greatest wealth transfer in history. Yes, that is right. I'm tired of being poor. I'm going to be blessed, chat. I'm going to be blessed.
Gold and silver are going to explode in value, giving wealth to the church, to you, so then you can prosper all those around you, because everything when God's kingdom comes in abundance and overflow. All debts, who has credit cards, mortgages, student loans, they will be canceled.
Also, the last time I checked, anybody in chat, am I wrong about this? If I remember the seals correctly, the third seal was about inflation going up, but there was nothing about wealth redistribution after that third seal. And also, since... now, I may be wrong about this as far as Revelation, but I do believe this to be true because it's mentioned multiple times. Would we... the seals being open, the trumpets being blown or whatever, being born again, aren't we protected from that because that's considered to be God's wrath? Or am I mistaken?
Zechariah 1 talks about Thanksgiving. We are days away from Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving? Galatians 6 talks about it. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, thus shall he reap.
That's really it's really interesting you quote that scripture, Bo, because you're sowing a lot right here. You're sowing a lot of crap. Oh, Kim Clement, it's going to be a hypnotic November. It's going to be a hypnotic November, chat.
Those who have planted evil seeds, they are about to get evil upon their own heads. Those who have planted good seeds are about to be blessed beyond measure. We are here. We're going to go dark.
That is right, chat. That is right. I'm going to get paid. My bank account's going to have millions and billions on it, chat. That wealth transfer, I'm going to get all that Epstein money. I'm going to get all that Epstein money in my bank account. All right? Because that's what Bo tells me. Now, the good word, this holy scripture, the Bible over here, it warns me that that's not going to happen. Okay? It warns me that that won't happen, actually. And it'll be the inverse. That things are going to be troubling and hard, and, you know, God will always provide me a way, whether in this life or when I'm in heaven. But, you know, there's always going to be... You know, there's always going to be a way provided. And, but Bo, I don't know. He's telling me I'm going to have millions and billions in my bank account, and I could do whatever my little heart desires as long as I do good things with it. I don't know how they're going to keep track of that. And we got the parallel of Lazarus, the story of Lazarus in John, okay? So we got the days of darkness. The days of darkness are coming. But then it's going to be like dead to life. So when the internet comes back on, the Great Awakening has arrived. So when we lose the internet, and we lose power, okay, because it's the 4 days of darkness. 4 days of darkness, all right? It's going to be like Lazarus in the tomb, all right? When we come out of that, the Great Awakening's here, okay? So you go celebrate, because I'm going to tell you what, everybody in that chat, listen, all right? That's going to be one of the best days of your life, chat. You're going to wake up. It's been 4 days. The internet's been out, okay? You're going to wake up. And you're going to have millions and billions in your checking account. You're not even going to know what to do. You're not even going to know what to do with yourself with that type of money, okay? Imagine all the people you can help. But, man, you got so much money in your account. You never had that amount of money in your life. And, man, you can help a lot of people with that money, but you could also do a lot of things you never could do. You could travel and eat fancy food and buy a really nice house and buy a really nice RV. And you have so much money, you don't know what you're going to do with yourself. But after you've done all that and you've done everything you wanted to do to your little heart desires, nothing sinful, nothing overtly sinful. Well, then when you're by yourself and you've done everything you want to do, well, then what happens then? What do you do then? This is sick. This is sick and disgusting. This whole thing is sick and disgusting. The love of money is the root of all evil. This is sick. The false promise and the false hope that are being selling to those people. And if it even happens, it could very well be the beast system. You have to pledge your allegiance to Satan, to the Antichrist, to get a mark, to be able to have access to all this money, to have access to all this wealth. That's if it lines up with Revelation, if it lines up with what is foretold to happen. It may or may not. We don't know. But if it does, that's what the cost is going to be. That's what they're selling you. That's the bill of goods they're selling you with the quantum financial reset. All right. You gotta have your 1-800 numbers, your 800 numbers, your baking numbers. Okay. Like you gotta have your Zimbabwe dollars. Okay. So when the days of darkness are coming, the parallel of Lazarus. I mean, this is utter blasphemy. But when we go into the darkness for them 4 days, just like Lazarus, and Jesus rises Lazarus back up from the dead. All right, and Lazarus being United States. Well, I thought Babylon was United States, but I guess now we're also Lazarus. Okay. The internet comes back on and celebrate because the Great Awakening that's arrived. Even the Mormon Glenn Beck, CMP Glenn Beck, talking about the Great Awakening. Everybody talking about this Great Awakening. Sounds great, right? I mean, I like being awake. It's cool being awake, right? It's cool. This is the Great Awakening. Sounds great, right? It's going to be awesome. All the money you could ever have and more. All your enemies are arrested and sent to Gitmo. This is great.
And when the lights come on, worldwide celebrations are coming. We are going to see the return this year. 45 comes back, not by his will, but by God's will.
That's right. God Emperor Trump on the throne. That is right. God Emperor Trump on the throne. Trump is back, baby. That's right. You got the 4 days of darkness. 4 days of darkness. The cabal is rounded up and sent down to Gitmo. This to face trials that are broadcast on the television. You got millions and billions in the greatest wealth transfer in the world, backed by gold and silver and precious metals in your bank account. You can do whatever your little heart desires with. And Trump is back, baby. That's right. Trump back. God Emperor Trump is back. They got rid of that old pedo Biden, pedo Peter, who can't even think well. And Trump's back. Trump's back. This is utter blasphemy. Okay. This ain't... Now, do I think this will happen eventually? Likely, yes. Do I think it's going to happen by this Bo's timeline? No. Do I think this is going to happen, though? Likely, yes. Do I think we're likely living in the end times in the book of Revelation? Yes. This likely will happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying, thus saith the Lord. Okay, God's given me no prophecy when it comes to this. But it does look like this is what's happening. And there's a great possibility that Trump may be the Antichrist. And someone like Elon Musk might be the false prophet. Time will tell. Maybe they're not. For all we know, There's also scripture that lines up that the Antichrist is Jewish. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out in the next few years. And if it never happened, and Trump never comes back to power, and Trump's not the Antichrist, I'll tell you that I was wrong. I don't think specifically that he is, and never have I said specifically that he was. I'm saying it's possible. It's possible more than anybody else in the modern time that I could possibly think of. When the CNP was setting up Obama to be the Antichrist, though possible, is way less likely than the stuff that happened around Trump.
God's will shall be done. God gets all the glory. God bless you. We are a covenant nation under God. We return to the covenant.
By biblical covenant restored in 2022, a covenant is a promise. So 2021 breach of covenant with the inauguration of Biden. U.S. returns to God. Fall and winter 2022, the new era begins. The new era, the year of Jubilee. The Bible does not say that there is a revival. The Bible does not say that there is a revival. A massive revival. That does not happen. The Bible says things will continue to get worse. Things will continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until Jesus Christ's second coming. This is hogwash. This is hogwash. This is New Apostolic Reformation hogwash. This is New Age hogwash. When David Icke says the same things that Bo Baloney says, but Bo Baloney, same stuff that Bo Baloney says, okay? But Bo Baloney puts a Christian veneer on it, you need to really think. When the New Agers sound like the Christians, that's the one world economical religion. When you can't tell the difference between a so-called Christian and a New Ager, run. Run to God. Yes, Randy, an apostasy and a rebellion. An apostasy and a rebellion. That is what happens in the end times. A great apostasy and rebellion. A grand delusion falls upon the earth. This and even this is blasphemy right here. The 1776 Declaration of Independence was a biblical covenant. That is blasphemy. A promise by the founding fathers to God that all men are created equal, and in return, God's promise was to bless the United States. It was born the greatest nation in the world. That's blasphemy. That is utter blasphemy. Majority of the founding fathers were deists, Satanists, Masons, and Illuminists. This was the divine right of man. This was an Illuminist operation. The promise was binding. However, January 2020, we, the people, that's a dog whistle, allowed our election to be infiltrated by godless communist foreign power, and God thus removed his blessing for a season for a breach of covenant. Bo? Aren't all leaders appointed by God? Did I miss something here? Both the good and the bad? Don't bad leaders? Aren't they appointed to judge wicked nations? And God uses them to turn his people back to him? And to turn people who don't believe to him? This is blasphemy. This guy's a false prophet. 2021, the dark year. America unblessed with Biden. After years of secret plan, those in power allowed the United States of America to be infiltrated by godless, all men are not created equal communist foreign power. China, the dragon, with the aid of treasonous U.S. operatives. Now, granted, he's against Russia, too. That's interesting. 2022, the year of Jubilee. Make America blessed again. Fraud revealed. Trump returns. Asterisk. Supreme Court, United States versus Throckmorton. Fraud vitiates everything. All men are created equal. Redo, restart, rebuild. The Great Awakening. Reborn to shine once again as a beacon of light for all the world to see during the end times. What is this? God's kingdom on earth is born. That is blasphemy. Jesus Christ brings his kingdom down for the literal 1,000-year reign. This is New Apostolic Reformation trash. Sick of it.
God bless you. We are a covenant nation under God. We return to the covenant we had with God under the covenant that was said with the founding fathers. This will be a year the world will never forget. God bless you. God bless your family. Thank you all for being here. God bless you, Clay. Thank you.
This is sick. This is sick. This is sick and disgusting. This whole thing is sick and disgusting.
Run.
There's just one name that can keep you out of hell, and it's the name of Jesus. The name of Jesus.